Now that we've kind of built out our microservices application, I want to talk a little bit about running this application. So we have everything running and we can go to localhost 8080 as we did before, and everything kind of works as we expect it to work. I want to visit back to our jhipster registry. As we saw before, it was pretty empty. Now that we have some instances running, we can see some more information here. So here's our conference instance, here's our gateway instance. Again, we got some information about our application. We can go into instances and click on each instance and click on the instance and it'll take us over there. We can also look at some configuration. We have cloud config here, so it kind of shows us what's going on. Encryption, SSH, we have some metrics about our application, just as we do in a monolithic scenario. And if you hit this drop down here, you can kind of jump into each application to get metrics about it. We also have health. Again, you can drop down into, say, our conference application and get some info about that. We have configuration here. So this shows us our config. Again, we can filter if we need to. We have our logs, which is actually dumping out our logs for us for each of these. So if we wanted to see what's going on, that'll give us some information. It looks like there's nothing available at the moment, but I promise you that works. And there's some loggers, and again, we can filter by the different applications. So that's our jhipster registry, and again, this is some good information as to, or some insight as to what's going on in our application. But I want to talk a little bit about how we got here, and what we need to do to get this application up and running. Again, when we started this, I said one of the things that kind of bothers people or confuses people is all the different moving parts. So what we had to do to get this running is I had to fire up each separate application. So the jhipster registry, the gateway, and the conference microservice. So now imagine we start adding more microservices on. Say we add a blog to this. Now we have 4 separate services that we need to start up to get it running. And this is on my local machine. This is my MacBook, and I mean, it's pretty powerful, but at the same time, with all these services running, 1, it takes a while, so this is not a great development cycle, but 2, it's really huffing and puffing. You can't really hear it from here, but I promise you my fans are working extra overload right now to keep this application running. So this could be a problem, but there is a solution to this. So we're not going to cover this, but I do want to point you to the documentation. So microservices in production. And under here, there is a section for using Docker Compose to develop and deploy. And it says working on a microservice architecture means you will need several different services and databases working together. And in that context, Docker Compose is a great tool to manage your development, testing, and production environments. So there's some specific documentation for this under the Docker Compose documentation. And I would suggest going ahead and reading through here and taking a look at how you can use Docker and Docker Compose to streamline your development, testing, and going to production. So I just wanted to make a quick note of that, and I hope that's some good information. Please check this out. Hopefully you can get through there and get that set up. Again, just don't want to cover too much in this section, so I hope this kind of points you in the right direction. All right, so with that, I think we are pretty good to go in this section. Now, let's see if you actually learned something here. Make sure I did my job. And we're going to get into the exercise for this section, and you're going to actually build something out for me. So with that, let's go ahead and move on.